Here are 3 drills for your glove arm action. We're gonna have a bonus at the end, so make sure you stay towards the end of the video. I'm John Antigua. Let's dive in. The glove arm action is something that is usually not talked about in the industry a lot because it can usually lead into more issues than it could be helpful. The reason being is because guys, when they overthink their glove arm action, it just becomes overactive and it just throws the sequencing part out of the equation. So first, we need to understand what is that full tilt arm action. And that's when guys are overactive with that lead arm, when that elbow starts swinging open. We know hip shoulder separation is very, very important. So if we throw a wrench in there by pulling the elbow out of the equation, that's gonna throw my torso forward, which is gonna make my arm fly out. Also overexposing it to injuries because now my elbow, my shoulder is getting pulled and yanked out of my body more aggressively, and that just leads into a higher risk of injury. So we need to avoid that. So the other actions that could be faulty in regards to your arm action is when guys try to yank it towards their body too aggressively, right? We know that the timing of when you start pulling down is very important, but if you guys are overactive trying to pull down into their arm, that is usually going to happen before the front foot hits the ground, and that is going to push you into a lateral tilt early, right, towards home plate. That is going to limit whatever the lower half does. Is just going to go thrown out of the equation. Then it's going to force your arm to climb and get pushy, and that just turns into an inefficient throw. Also increasing the likelihood of injury by making you push and just getting that tricep to do a lot of the work. In regards to having an efficient glove arm action is that there are so many different ways to having a good arm action. You have guys who are very over the top, like Jerry Jones, Clayton Kershaw, right? They pinpoint up and then they find a way to match that planar rotation as they're going down. You got guys like Brian Wu and Paul Skeens are maybe like going down low and then they go up, and that allows them to kind of delay torso rotation as the hips rotate. Then you have your Madison Bumgarner, your Randy Rodriguez, who are very across the body, right? And they try to delay trunk rotation by doing that. The pelvis goes and then they come out and around. What they all have in common is that the glove at the end of the throw just gets out of the way to allow the arm to come through. That is the most important thing, right? When guys think that because they see visually like, hey, that he's pulling the glove down. Well, that's not what's actually happened. The glove just gets out of the way on its own to allow the arm to come through. For example, we have Jancis Carrera, who simply just puts his glove arm down, doesn't even do anything with it, and he's throwing upper 90. We also have guys in the big leagues who have thrown mid-90s with no arm, like they literally have no lead arm. So understanding that the arm is just simply there as using it as an anchor to match the planar rotation and to give you a feel to delay the trunk rotating. And that is different person to person. Just understanding that is going to be super, super important. But if you try to get overactive with that lead arm, that's when things usually go south. Just place it in a place where it feels easy, it's comfortable, and then you could just be yourself. You can allow your lower half and torso and arm to unravel naturally, so it doesn't just throw things off. That's where the saying comes where like the lead arm doesn't give you more velo, but it could definitely kill if you don't do it properly. Different analogies work. So for example, guys, when they have a full arm action and they feel like they have no rhythm, I just use it as a cue of like, hey, imagine you're breaking an egg, because understanding that the throwing arm and the glove arm, they're just basically dancing with each other. It's like there's an exchange. So if my glove arm goes up, usually this throwing arm is going to go down, and then they're going to match that plane. The same thing if they do this, they kind of flow together and then they rotate in that same fashion. So they're working together in a way. So if you find a way to keep your glove arm in rhythm with your throwing arm, you're going to be fine. You usually never see guys who they go down low here and then they go over the top, or vice versa, where they go over the top and then they're a subby guy. It's just like there needs to be some sort of rhythm with the glove arm and the throwing arm for the throw to become efficient and smooth. There has been times, I know I've mentioned a couple, where guys have this aggressive pull down this way towards their front pocket, and how can that then throw things off in regards to, right, the torso rotating early or going into lateral tilt forward early. But there are times where I feel like it could be beneficial to think about the glove going towards your stomach, kind of a simple cue. What this just creates is kind of this blocking sensation where the body goes like, all right, I can't really go forward with my torso that aggressively. So this lead leg just actually automatically starts blocking, and then it redirects the torso, kind of funneling all your energy towards the direction of home plate. Because at the end of the day, we have to throw strikes. We talk about velocity and all that, but we have to throw strikes. And if we're doing this, right, the arm's gonna be left behind. It's gonna be really difficult to be consistent at what your release point is at. You're gonna have those arm sign sails, and that's gonna turn into a lot of balls. But if you're able to get a feel of like, all right, like if I'm gonna cue my lead arm, the simplest way to do it is just basically allow it to come towards you, and it's gonna force that blocking sensation from that lead leg to decelerate and propel the torso forward faster, which results in more velocity and results into better command as well. With all that being said, let's dive into the drills. first drill we have is just basically using this mini band looped around your back, right? And then you're gonna loop it around your thumb. And this is gonna give you that feel of that glove coming towards your body. And it's gonna create this feeling of your glove arm just being naturally going towards your body, that blocking sensation I talked about in a couple seconds ago, where it's just simply just coming in, where I don't have to think about my arm doing anything. It's just like holding me from opening up, right? And if I open up, it's gonna give me that feedback, because if I yank this way, it's gonna pull me back right away. The band does a great job of giving me feedback without me having to overthink things. All I'm trying to do is just throw the ball, and like unconsciously, because if I'm in a constrained position, my body's gonna self-organize to do it the right way. So here's an example of what it should look like. You can do this from a split stance to make it easier. We're just holding tension. You're gonna feel kind of this front oblique really firing. You go revisit or floor action, and this is just throw the ball, and then the body is just gonna naturally block and propel your torso forward in a natural fashion. You can do the same drill by adding some sort of like rhythm, like I talked before, where it's just like, I'm here, imagine I have my glove in my hand, and just like giving yourself that rhythm of like, all right, I feel tension, I'm not underacted or overacted with it, it's just they are holding this front side together, and then once I go, it naturally just allows me to come in and everything sequences properly. This one really is helpful as well, because you can't really swim out with it. Like if I try to swim out, for example, it just will pull me back right in, and I'm gonna feel that compensation over exaggerated. And that's where I want some sort of feedback that tells my body, hey, that is wrong. When you do it right, it just feels a lot smoother. So for example, this is one where I'm trying to actively yank my elbow out, but then you can see how like it comes in towards my body, and then my arm kind of redirects in a weird fashion by giving me that information where like, hey, like if you just let it be, hold it there and let it come towards your body, it's gonna be a lot better for you and the arm as well. All right, this next drill is going to be using that same band, ideally a very light one, looped around the arm, going out this way. The goal with this is to force the feel and exaggerate the feel of the arm going into external rotation here. So you're gonna have to kind of counteract that by holding that into more internal rotation, which is gonna pre-tense that front oblique, trying to hold counter rotation during the throw. So simply, same thumb here, just go back first, and then loop it, I say 3 times. Make sure it's slightly tight, and then the last one is gonna go around the neck. I think you can do this around the waist as well, but this works just fine. So right now this band is forcing me, it's trying to make me go this way. All I'm trying to do is just trying to like force it to go the opposite direction. And once I have the need to throw the ball, right, and my goal is to throw the ball towards my target, the hand is gonna naturally just do this, right? I'm not having to think overacting it. Remember, the biggest thing with the arm is not to let it be overactive. When the arm tries to do too much, that's when things go south. Just try to counteract the forces of the band pulling me this way, and then from there, just try to throw the ball. It's gonna take care of itself. So just here, I'm holding that for as long as possible, and I might just deliver the ball. With this one, I think you could just go into a more rhythm throw. So you wanna go like full delivery or something a little more complex than a split stance, you can, because that's when things usually go south with guys, when they're start adding complexity to a drill. So like I could go full delivery here, hold, and then deliver the ball. The third drill is gonna be a partner toss throw. This one, you're gonna need 2 baseballs where you're gonna be trying to catch the ball that's coming with your glove. And all you're trying to do is just basically just have that rhythm where you're catching it, and as you catch it, just throw the ball, right? Kind of the body's gonna self-organize to give you better timing of when the glove has to retract naturally, right? If you miss the ball, right, that tells you start yanking early, and that's gonna give you that feedback right away. Again, finding ways and drills that put you in a position where you don't have to think about it, it just happens. So I'm gonna show you a good rep here. Simply, I just have to wait for the ball to get to me, and then just allow the pelvis to do the work as we know how to do, and the arm is just gonna come out around. I'm gonna show you what a bad rep will look like. You're gonna have that feedback right away, like I missed the ball, I went too early. Just that minuscule timing, right? If you go a little bit too soon, that's just gonna force everything to be early. There's gonna be no separation, there's gonna be no torque, there's gonna be no dissociation, which results in low velocity, and as we mentioned before, a higher risk of an injury. The cool thing about this drill is you can customize it to your needs and how you throw. So if you're a more rotational guy, like a Bumgarner or Randy Rodriguez, for example, you can play around with how far can you go with that glove arm without feeling stuck. So the first one I showed is very linear, right? Where I'm just holding everything and going through. But I want to go a little further out. I'll just tell my partner to go a little further out, hold that, and then go. And the goal with that is to play around with how far can I go. If you go to a point where it's too far out, you can't really see your target, right? And then you're gonna be forced to fly open. That is just the opposite of what we do. So sometimes guys wanna get over exaggerated with that glove arm, right? Understand there's a limit of how far you can go, because there's a variable of how much range of motion you have on the hips, spine, and other variables that play a role as well. Cervical spine as well. You can't really see your target, right? If you're overly kind of rotated here, you can't see your target, your body's gonna go, hey, I'm just gonna fly out early to see my target, and it's gonna throw your sequencing off. So play around with that, making sure like how far can you go, and you're gonna find that sweet spot where I feel smooth here, I could rotate from this position, and my glove arm's not messing things up. The bonus drill will be a kneeling throw, and ideally, if you do this playing catch at a longer distance, it's gonna give you a feedback of what you're doing, right? Because usually when guys have a very full TRM action, the lower half could make up for the ground loss with the glove. But by going kneeling, you're taking that variable out of the equation. So it overexposes how the glove arm is working in conjunction with the throwing arm. So if, for example, I'm going into long toss and I yank my body this way, I'm gonna see those aggressive arm side misses, that ball tail away, and then the ball's not gonna go very far. If my upper half is very efficient from a tall kneeling position or even a half kneeling position, I'm gonna see that ball carry a good distance where it's just telling me right away, again, something I don't have to overthink about. It's just like the ball's gonna tell me the information I need to know. Is the ball going far? Is it not telling? Is it staying true? I just did a good rep. So this will be an example of what it should be a good rep. I'm just here, just feeling your spine and your glove work in opposition with your throwing arm. Then you're gonna see that ball travel, right? Nice and simple. Double kneeling one is gonna be slightly more difficult. I think if you get comfortable with that and you wanna get to a further distance, it's kind of bridge your guy from tall kneeling to standing. You go with one knee on top, right? Because it's gonna replicate more of that lead leg block feeling, and then just going from here and just having, again, that glove arm and throwing arm working in conjunction as you throw it for distance. With all that being said, understanding what is an efficient and an inefficient glove arm action, there's so many different ways to get it done, right? If you're confused, you don't know what you're doing in regards to it, right? The drills that you're playing around with don't work, just reach out to Tread. We're gonna pair you up with a coach that's gonna help you and guide you to what is best for your needs. He's gonna give you specific cueing. He's gonna go into the nitty-gritties to get the things right for you and fix that glove arm action if that is your issue, to get you to maximize your career. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.